What's up, guys? It's the Four Horsemen Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Josh Romine. With me tonight, I got Alex Deviney Stoner. How are you, Alex?
I am here tonight.
That is great. I'm glad you're here. Got Joshua Van Cleve. How are you, Joshua?
Hey.
Hello. And Brent Ocker. Hello, Brent. How are you?
What's up, everybody?
So tonight's the night. Draft's over. It's in the books. So pretty big deal. Now we all start preparing for our draft, start putting rankings together. We put together a top 25 rookie rank that we will kind of discuss a little bit tonight. We're going to cover some news, talk about a few things that happened. What I want to lead in with, though, kind of, with us being Colts fans, except for Alex, it kind of hit a little bit close to home. But the Colts and Bills both released some of their scouting personnel from the teams right after the draft ended. And I know there were some people that were not really sure how to feel about that right, as soon as the draft ends getting released. But I'm sure you guys have opinions on the subject. Just curious to hear them. Van Cleve, do you have an opinion?
You guys go ahead.
Everybody knows Alex has an opinion. I'd rather hear somebody else other than Alex.
Exactly. That's what I'm giving you some space here.
It's very, very surprising, especially that they do it right after the draft. I don't know if it's something that where they didn't want them to reveal their draft strategy, so that's why they waited until after. But it's also because they're cutting people everywhere in the Colts organization. Even just today, the VP of operations got fired today too. So they're making some changes. They really want to see something happen. They have this new GM come in, so they really want to shake things up and really try to go back on the track that they used to be on with getting into the AFC Championship games year after year. So I don't know what they're doing. I didn't think they had a horrible draft. It was a lot better than drafting a wide receiver in the first round that is a bust. I mean, so I guess that it's a positive note on that aspect, but it just makes you wonder what's going on here. What's Irsay got up? Is he high on cocaine, or is he actually thinking clearly now because he's in rehab? That's just my opinion.
I mean, the fact is, I'm just kind of looking at their draft, and they've got, they got obvious players, and we'll see how well they actually are. But both these teams kind of needed to make a big splash. Especially the Bills, they didn't. I think that that Indy, they got a good corner in Malik Hooker. Outside of that, I'm not really thrilled with what they did. I mean, Quincy Wilson looks like he's got some decent skills, but after that in Buffalo, Zay Jones, whatever. I mean, there's nothing that is just, and getting whether you like Tyrod Taylor or not getting a quarterback until the 5th round. I don't know. I didn't like either one of their drafts, and I'm not shocked, but it's still weird.
Yeah, I agree with that. Is Brent with us?
Yeah.
Brent.
His face disappeared.
How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo had pretty lackluster draft. I mean, they got some decent talent, but nothing that's going to blow you away by any means. I mean, they did have this new coaching regime come in with the Colts. They had a new GM. Buffalo had a new head coach come in, and I guess I've heard, that certain things happen sometimes after the draft just to meet more of the coaching standards. But I don't know. It just seemed really weird. It seemed really off that it happened right after the draft happened for Buffalo and Indy. They get rid of all their scouting players. Scouting team. They get rid of the GM in Buffalo. It just seemed weird. The timing was just weird.
Yeah. If somebody just does a job and you like the job that they just did, you keep those people. You know what I mean? You don't cut them right afterward. I don't know. It seems very strange.
Right. Unless it was a decision, that was mounting up and then after the, you know what I mean? Like, because you've got these guys that are working on, establishing all your picks. You wouldn't really want to fire them right before that happened, I guess. I don't know, maybe, but it was interesting. So I hope it works out for the Colts, but I wasn't too surprised about the Bills. So
I'm going to take a stab that it's not going to work out for the Bills regardless.
As long as Tyrod Taylor pulls it together, then no.
3,300 yards. That's my bet.
You're probably pretty close on that. Let's talk about some NFL news that has come out post draft though. Looks like McAdoo named Paul Perkins starter for the New York Giants at running back.
About time.
I was gonna say,
is that okay? Is that a little weird? Right after the draft, they draft a running back. And I mean, he has a pretty good skill set. I was actually reading up on him a little bit today.
You're talking about Wayne Gallman?
Wayne Gallman. And I mean, neither one of these guys is amazing. So when neither one is amazing, I could see it very well happening that Gallman might actually be better than Perkins, and Perkins could fall off. So it almost seems like this is okay. We drafted this running back, and in today's day and age, you can get a good running back in the fourth round, third or fourth round. So it's basically giving that guy the confidence and see what he does with it. But having said that, the fact that you have to give somebody the confidence kind of shows that even they're not quite sure if he's going to be good enough to take the control of the game.
Yeah, I don't think they were real impressed with him last year.
No,
that was all the talk coming off of it. So I was kind of surprised that I don't know why they didn't really go for anybody better than Gallman, but
and I mean they drafted Wayne Gallman. In reality, I mean they have Sean Drone there now, and Shane Vereen is still coming back. So they're more the two guys those two guys are more like the passing down role. So I think Wayne Gallman and Paul Perkins are going to spell each other for the first and second down role.
Yeah, because Wayne Gallman's more of a downhill runner anyways. But I think that was a team need that they should have gone after is a running back. I think they maybe should have gone in the second round instead of having a quarterback. I know that Eli is on his down and on the back nine of his career, but
I thought you were going to say deathbed. His career deathbed. He's on it.
Well, after that the controversy with him and the fake jerseys, he's probably on his deathbed. Did you hear about that?
No.
He's so there's a big story out about where he actually he's supposed to grab a real game worn jersey and to those key people who sell that what are they called? Remind.
What are you talking about?
Where they sportsman memorabilia people.
Okay.
And he was supposed to. He had a deal with them, and he was said he grabbed a game worn jersey, but then it wasn't a game worn jersey, and so there's a big thing going on about it, and it's stupid.
It didn't make any sense.
Some shady shit coming out of the Mannings.
Yeah, I just didn't get it though. Like it doesn't make sense. They're like, Eli Manning texted this guy and said, "It doesn't matter, just grab one off the top shelf." It was like completely ridiculous sounding. The most bull crap. Like it sounded like a story out of The Onion. You know what I mean? Like it just sounded fake to me. But I don't know. I don't buy that.
Is Brent asleep?
Yeah, he passed out.
Oh, there he is. Let's
move on to the next piece of news. At the request of Van Cleve, Minnesota is not picking up the fifth-year option on Teddy Bridgewater. You were a truther. You loved some Teddy Bridgewater.
I love some Teddy. I did. I was a real believer in Teddy. I thought he had. I don't know why. He had some potential. It was AP that was holding them back. That's all it was.
He put up Tyrod numbers, so we would be having the exact same conversation about Tyrod or about Bridgewater this year. And I bet you that if he played like he had been, we would still be talking about him not getting his option picked up.
I bet you Treadwell be a factor for this next season if Teddy played last season.
What?
You think so?
Treadwell would be a factor this season if Teddy played last season.
So all joking aside, do you think there's no chance that Treadwell does anything this year?
Oh, I think there's a chance that he does something.
Honestly, it's just if he picks up the offense. I think that's what his issue was last year, just understanding the offense and getting on the field.
So you just think he's stupid?
But here's the thing:
complex?
Are we to believe that the Minnesota Vikings passing game was so complex that Treadwell wasn't able to understand it? Like, I don't believe that for a second. Like, it just seems like one of those things that, look at that team. They can't get a number one guy. I mean, Stephon Diggs did have a back-to-back good years. I mean, he's injury prone. That's going to be an issue, but somebody's got to step into that second role. And I don't know if Thielen is a legitimate number 2 guy. Patterson's gone, so I mean, there's a little bit opened up. I mean, he wasn't a huge factor in the passing game, but I mean, I don't know. They put too much into him to give up on him already.
Or Treadwell, I don't think they're gonna give up on him. Some of these offenses are complex. Some of these coming from college, sometimes they don't even their playbooks are so simplified sometimes that when you get to NFL, stepping up it may be difficult for some people. I'm not saying it's stupid. It's just sometimes it may be difficult for someone to understand.
Can I remind you that Sam Bradford passed in NFL history last year by throwing the most simple passes? How can Treadwell not run routes for the most simple concepts?
It is very simple. Like, their passing game.
Brent, where's this factual coming from?
Factual.
Stats.
It's coming from stats.
All right, just stats. That's all you got for me? You got nothing to back that up? I don't believe you.
Yeah, just common knowledge. Common knowledge.
Oh, okay. All right, just want to make sure. Just want to clarify that, Brent.
I do think, I mean, that was kind of the thing, though, that, Stephon Diggs was able to take those simple passes and turn them into something. Adam Thielen was able to take those simple passes and turn them into something. They didn't even put Treadwell on the field. I don't understand how you can say he doesn't grasp an offense when you haven't even game tested him yet. I mean, that's impossible. You can't tell me that he is so he doesn't understand the playbook and the routes to such a degree that he doesn't even see the field and gets one catch. There's no way. That just does not make sense at all. If he only had 20 or 30, that would make sense. The fact that he had one catch, there's something else going on.
So you think injury, or you think?
I've heard multiple things, including injury, work ethic.
Yeah.
I mean, the other guys on the team, he fell to 5th or 6th on the depth chart. He was healthy
really
scratches.
fast, too.
He fell like a stone.
I mean, Cordero Patterson and Charles Johnson are gone from the team now, so I think that opens up the 3 and 4 spot on the depth chart. So I think Treadwell should slide in there, but I want to see what he does first.
And honestly, one of the things that I loved about him on his game tapes in college was that he had amazing hands. He could just grab stuff and just and so if they get him into the slot where he's catching stuff in traffic, I think he could be fantastic. I think he could be a PPR monster. He just has to get into that role.
What would you say the odds of that happening are? Would you, if you had to bet it, which side would you bet?
I would bet on him getting out there a lot. I mean, obviously a lot more than last year, but the thing about NFL teams is, and this goes back quite a ways, but Todd Pinkston, first round draft pick of the Eagles, they forced him out there, even though he was terrible, and he still ended up with 60 catches, 70 catches, something like that. It wasn't great numbers. I'm not saying that I'm not making an argument one way or another of him being fantastic, but they are going to, whether he's ready or not, they're going to force him out there this year because they have to get a return on their investment in some way, shape, or form.
I hope they do, because I really liked Treadwell last year coming into it.
Yeah, I loved him.
It's just that was such a disappointment. But
it really scares me about this class of wide receivers because honestly, Michael Thomas was kind of the big breakout, and the first round guys were either injured or just not playing.
Right. So let's just kind of transition this into. We can start talking about our rookies a little bit because now I'm curious. Like looking at the rookies coming out, who are you worried about? Corey Davis, the same kind of thing happening with him, or
Not as much, because I think that he went to a good team, and that's kind of the big thing here.
With a good quarterback too.
Exactly. He is landing in a good situation.
Right.
You could have made a case that like a guy like Sterling Shepard, he landed in a really good situation. However, Eli's not what he used to be. And I mean, so
He's on his deathbed.
He's on his deathbed. Michael Thomas landed in a great situation. So, when you are in those kind of situations, and we did not see a lot out of Tajay Sharp. The number one wide receiver or the number one pass catcher was Delaney Walker. And honestly, he was probably catching a lot of double teams. I haven't looked on stats on that. I haven't checked the official stats that that Brent gets.
Common knowledge.
But common knowledge stat.
Yep.
But they didn't have wide receivers. They didn't have guys that could stretch the field. So, I mean, he's basically handed a perfect opportunity. So, we'll get into it obviously, but there are wide receivers that I like, and the running back class, other than Fournette, I think took a huge hit. One of the worst draft classes to go to specific teams I've ever seen in my life. I am just blown away. And
you're right, Alex. I think this year's running back class is very similar to last year's wide receiver class. How they went to those, like Doxson to Washington, which you could see, but it wasn't good, initial year value. Treadwell going to Minnesota.
Yeah.
There was a couple others in there too, but I just felt like the running backs went to the wrong teams. It's not going to be good fantasy value for a lot of those guys this year for sure.
I actually have in my rankings the quarterbacks ranked way higher than I ever thought they were going to be ranked, and the running backs way lower than I ever would have thought that I would have ranked them. Like that's the swing of how things were. I'm kind of frustrated because I was kind of excited about him, but
well. Alex, you have 4 quarterbacks ranked in your top 25.
Because I think they're all going to start.
That's the thing, though. They went to teams that you could actually see them starting.
Yeah.
Like even the Mr. Irrelevant, Chad Kelly, went to Denver.
Yeah.
The draft, but he could easily beat out Paxton Lynch or Trevor Siemian.
Hell yeah, because we'll bring an AK-47.
Whoa.
Wow. Wow.
Jeez.
Wow.
You guys didn't hear about that either?
I didn't hear
Wait,
about
what?
Something about an AK-47, him bringing it to a party or something. I don't know.
Oh, God. I thought that was just some goofy nickname. Okay.
I mean, I like it.
I think Dalvin Cook actually shot off a weapon at his school or something.
Like on a football field or something.
Was it? Yeah.
I remember hearing that. I don't remember exact details, but.
Okay, so I do have to say that all of us put Leonard Fournette as number 1 because I think that's the only one that is okay, he's starting day 1, he's gonna probably make an impact, and then we're all over the place.
Yep.
So okay, Brent, you said Mixon. I was so pissed that Mixon went to Cincinnati as far as what he has to go through. Why do you have him so high?
I think just based on what his skill set brings to the table in that offense specifically, they give those running backs touches, regardless of if they're winning or losing. I think that Jeremy Hill is on his way out the door. I hear they're trying to trade him. I think Mixon is or could be a better receiver than Gio. I just think that he has that opportunity to be a Le'Veon Bell in that division with Le'Veon Bell.
He could beat out crap, I just lost his name. The terrible one.
Jeremy Hill?
Jeremy Hill. He could beat out Jeremy Hill, no problem. That's not the problem. My problem is Gio. Because Gio has the ability to run. He has a great ability to catch. The only thing that I think what I would be hoping for. I mean, you don't want to hope for injury, but you would hope that Mixon is doing well on the ground, and then Gio goes out, because I think that Mixon takes a huge hit on his value if Gio is still in the picture.
Yeah, I was really high on Gio before the draft. And it makes me worry just a little bit, because I could see something happening with Mixon kind of catching fire, like you said, a la, Le'Veon Bell. Yeah. Where he wasn't drafted in the first round, but they get him out there, they see his talent, and he just surprises the heck out of people. Because I don't think Cincinnati's in love with their running backs, obviously.
No, I don't think so either.
And it wasn't ideal, but it wasn't that bad. Like, you dropped him how far down?
I dropped him. It's just I don't like
you.
When I listen.
Sorry,
calm down.
Say something afterwards.
Calm down. I'm a big Mixon fan. Okay, I have come around a great deal on him. The reason I put him so low is that he has 2 starters ahead of him, not just one, but 2, and that's the problem. Is that not only does he have to kind of face his inner demons a little bit, he's got to, try to block out the media scrutiny. He's got to focus and get in there. He's got to focus and get in there and beat out 2 guys. Yeah. I mean, if he would have gone to Green Bay, he just has to focus. He doesn't have to beat anybody. It's just, I hate the situation. Can he become the number 1? Can he become a Le'Veon Bell? Yes.
So
it's going to take longer than I think we wanted.
You're willing to put Kareem Hunt above Joe Mixon?
Hold on.
You think the situation is that much better?
Hold on 1 second. Let me get back to my rankings.
No, you don't have a second. Answer it right now.
Okay. Yes, because I like Kansas City's run game better than I like Cincinnati's. Because Kansas City, when they find their guy, and let's face it, Ware wasn't impressing. He was okay, but he wasn't really impressing. Now, if Hunt could come in and start running, he's really only beating out one person. And he doesn't have all this outside stuff to overcome. Do I think that the ceiling is as high for Hunt? Absolutely not. I think that Mixon could be the number 1 running back in the league if everything turns out all right. There's just a little bit more that makes me shy away from Joe Mixon. Now, come down to it, who would I probably choose?
There's no way you draft Kareem Hunt over Joe Mixon.
I understand that. I'm just saying that I like Kareem Hunt's situation more than I like Mixon's right now.
Sure, I guess I agree with that.
And going based off of history and where teams draft running backs, Cincinnati chose Joe Mixon at the top of the 2nd round.
Right.
Like, they're probably going to be at least grooming him to start.
There's a reason they drafted him that high.
Like, there's also that, there's just this other thing about his, the players like that have this, scrutiny around them. Sometimes try a little too hard and they end up tearing something. They end up injuring themselves. They're trying to prove themselves and they go a little bit too far. There's just a lot of things kind of swirling around in my head. I could see this guy impressing in mini camps and stuff like that, and all of a sudden tears his ACL and he's out for the season. I don't know.
Why don't put that kind of evil on him?
I'm sorry. I'm not trying. I'm just saying that kind of stuff. I just have this
son of
feeling.
A bitch. I don't like it. I don't like that. I don't like that feeling one bit.
I'm sorry. I'm a little bit of a running back whisperer. I'm just saying.
Van Cleve, how do you feel about this? You step in here, put some knowledge on this fool. Come on.
Knowledge. I'm just a feeling.
Shut your mouth, Alex.
Feeling about Mixon or Hunt?
Both. I don't care.
I mean, talent-wise, Mixon is hands down better than Hunt.
So hands down, how much better?
I don't know how to answer that, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just if you looked at his college career versus Hunt's college career, and then the Hunt went to Toledo and Mixon went to Oklahoma,
okay.
A big top school. It just the talent
better
right
competition.
Well, say you're rating their talent on a scale of 1 to 10
versus each other, or versus just like so. I would
just
say
rate them.
okay.
Don't
Where
close
okay,
your eyes.
here's a better question. Where do you see their ceilings? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you see their ceilings?
1 being Trent Richardson,
10 being AP.
Yes.
Or
see,
Le'Veon Bell.
I see Joe Mixon. He can be a number 8 or 9 if he's close, because he's the most comparable to Le'Veon Bell in this league. It's Joe Mixon.
Okay.
Hunt, I could see him being probably a 6 or 7, possibly.
That's how I feel.
But I don't see that. But see, because he's in a great situation. But I just think straight up, if you look at those two guys, the talent wise, Joe Mixon is a lot better. He's more well rounded than Hunt is.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going off of talent, I go Mixon, and Mixon isn't necessarily in a bad situation. Mm-hmm. They're obviously drafted him, and they drafted if Mixon didn't have his history, he'd be a first round draft pick easily.
And here's the thing, and I mean, Brent and I have discussions about this all the time, and Brent knows this is how I am. If it came down and I've got those two guys sitting in front of me, like the safer pick is Hunt, I'm definitely going with Mixon because, like, I don't know, I like taking risks like that, like because he's not an up and down player. Like I like consistency. But I also like things that like could be consistently amazing.
Mixon is a safer choice, though. That's the thing, though.
I don't think so.
Okay, why don't you think so? Why do you think he's this high risk, high reward type player?
Okay, the reason why is that there's just so much around him. There's so much, like, he has to overcome a lot. I mean, like just to get focused on football, he has to get.
Let's talk about on-field stuff here, just strictly where his talent.
Okay, I understand that, but there's a lot of talented football players that can't get over off the field stuff. There's a lot of talented football players that can't get over the media scrutiny on something. I mean, the thing is that's it. I understand where you're saying, like, okay, on the field, yeah, okay. If that whole situation had never happened, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But the fact of the matter is that whole situation happened, and people are not going to let him forget about it. And is he mature enough to block that out and play football? That's what I need to know. Here's
the thing, and we can have a separate discussion about that. But he was been punished for it. It's so far that's the only thing on his record. He showed remorse. He showed that he's living a straight line. But what's crazy about this draft is Joe Mixon highlighted this draft because of what he had done in this past. Nobody talked about D.D. Westbrook or Conley, or there was a guy who was drafted in the 6th round by the Browns. I can't remember his name right now, but
Caleb Brantley.
Yes, exactly. All domestic violence in the past and stuff like that. But like Joe Mixon highlighted this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so the Bengals felt on taking that risk of that PR issue because of what he could be, because they know it happened in the past. It happened one time. However horrific it is horrific. Yeah. But they're going on what going forward, what he can be. Maybe he's obviously and he hasn't shown any other regress, anything up to this point. Not to say he can't happen, but I'm just saying though, like. Going back to on-field stuff, like the Bengals isn't necessarily a bad situation. We saw Gio Bernard and Jeremy Hill put up numbers on that team, and so if Mixon but see, there are two different backs. One's a pass catching back, one's a downhill runner, and a bruiser. Mixon is both of those guys. So if Mixon can come in and take the show and just steal the jobs from him, I think that they're going to just stay with him. I think they'll keep Gio Bernard because he is that versatile third down back, because that's just how the NFL is going nowadays. So just to keep that kind of back there where they can bring him in on pass catching downs, might be helpful. I think honestly this diminishes Jeremy Hill's value. I honestly think Mixon is going to come in and take that job. Now Hunt obviously can come in and steal a job from Spencer Ware. I
he
don't
could
know if it's
accidentally steal that job. That's the
But
thing, though.
The thing of it is, we've seen success with Ware in that system. So I think we can see success with Hunt in that system. But I think it's going to be harder for Hunt to get in there than it is Mixon, because Mixon's also a higher draft pick, but he has more talent and he can easily overshadow Jeremy Hill. Whereas is Hunt, he is that kind of mid-round guy to where it's like, is he close to Spencer Ware's talent, or does he actually have more talent than that?
Exactly. Is Hunt really that much better than Spencer Ware? We all know Joe Mixon is way better.
Okay. I think that and maybe I'm not explaining myself well enough, but what I'm saying is okay. I understand that was in the past. I understand that the Bengals might think that that's in the past. I understand all of that stuff. But what we can't figure out, what we won't know until he hits the field, is can he get past it? Can he get past all of the crap that's been raining down on him? Right. Can he get past that? And that is the reason why I am slightly reserved about him. Would I like shy away from him completely? Absolutely not. He could be a top 3 running back for all we know.
Sure.
Do I think that Hunt I don't think he's got a top 3 running back. But what I'm saying is that he might have a better opportunity, and if Mixon can't handle it, and at best he is a 5, that's where that risk reward comes from. Sure. And I think that Hunt has a little bit of a smaller window, whereas Mixon might have he could be a 9 or a 10, but I think he could also be a 5. Where I think that Hunt could probably be between like a 5 and a 7. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so Alex, let me ask you this then, and I probably already know this is probably obvious answer, but say Fournette's gone, McCaffrey's gone, and you're drafting for fantasy purposes. So you have
I'm taking Mixon.
So you're taking Mixon over Hunt.
I'm taking Mixon, and the reason why that's not reflected in my actual rankings is that I draft with a little bit of a reckless abandon. I draft with a little bit more like that guy could be a 9 or a 10, and so I'm going to go after him because I think that this other guy could only be a 7.
You draft upside. That's okay.
So let me ask. I mean, I think Romine might agree with me on this, but Alex, if you, in the perfect scenario for both of these running backs, Fournette and Mixon, is there any case where you would take Mixon over Fournette?
Oh man!
Or I'll even throw McCaffrey in there too.
Definitely not McCaffrey. That him going to the Panthers kind of soured that whole thing. But I still think that I go Fournette because I don't think Fournette has real competition. I think that Yeldon's garbage. Ivory's hurt too often. They drafted Fournette, in the first 3 picks. You don't invest that much in a running back in 2017 and don't plan to use him almost every single down.
Let me just flip the players and the teams real quick. So let's say Mixon had no baggage. Mixon would have been the top running back drafted more than likely. Mm-hmm. Say he went to Jacksonville and Fournette went to the Bengals.
That's not even a question.
Mixon, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's more team specific?
It's team specific and
opportunity.
Can he keep his head right? And keeping your head right is a vital part of the NFL that we don't really talk about, because that could be the whole issue with Treadwell. He just couldn't get his head right and focus on football. Like they're talking about him, not practicing well, not doing he wasn't mentally there. Is possibly what was wrong with him. So I mean, it's one of those things where you could have all. I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but Michael Floyd is a perfect example of not having your head right.
Sure.
I mean,
you can have all the talent in the world.
Exactly.
But, yep. Yeah, I agree with you. You know how I feel about Michael Floyd. It's forever going to be attached to my name.
Speaking of which, yes, I think I might be the only one that threw this guy on here. Where is he at? Oh crap! Chad Williams from for Arizona. Like I have him as I have him as a little bit of a sneaky guy because he basically is Michael Floyd as far as like the size comparison. So like I was.
So what you're saying is I'm gonna fall in love with him as I get to know him.
Well, I hope you don't fall in love with him. I mean, he doesn't have the same pressure.
Fall in love with him.
Well, I have his name written down now with a heart around it on my paper, so I will figure it out.
Oh God, who put Juju? Brent, is that you? Oh,
Yeah.
Fuck you,
Okay,
Brent.
let's just move on.
Yourself.
Easy with.
I'm
we'll
sorry.
we'll
I'm sorry.
talk
I
about
love
that.
you. I'm sorry, Brent. I love you so much. It's just I saw that stupid bastard's name.
Okay, not to speaking of stupid bastards, but Alex, you have Deshaun Watson ranked number 4 overall in your rankings.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Listen, right? Okay, listen. Tell me, of all the rookie quarterbacks, tell me somebody who's walking into a better situation.
Well, I agree, but I wouldn't put him above a lot of.
Okay, but here's the thing: wide receivers have been proven that not everybody's Julio Jones. You're waiting years. Okay, so I mean, you can be looking at this at multiple different angles. Of these guys, who's going to get you the most fantasy points this year? It might be Watson. It might be Watson. Might be a top 5.
But if we're
points.
talking like dynasty drafts, like a lot of times you're not looking for that. As far as quarterback goes, you're not looking for that immediate result. You're trying to
Okay, but let's say if he has an immediate result, what's to say that he's going to lose that?
Well, that's a lot.
He's walking into one of the best wide receiving cores in the league.
Yeah, but typically the wide quarterbacks, there's so many of them in any drafts. You can wait on them, and so as far as like running backs and wide receivers, especially in the dynasty league.
Well, that's not what I'm ranking here. I'm not putting them in a thing where am I going to draft him?
But
I'm just saying, who do I like the most?
Well, it's kind of what a ranking is like.
Yeah.
Kind of where you're going to draft them.
I mean, it's kind of dynasty.
That's kind of the point of doing it.
I mean, no big deal.
No. Listen. Okay. So, would you draft? Okay. Let me look. Okay. So you would draft OJ Howard before anybody else below him, Brent?
Yeah.
So there's like once you hit that point, you would not consider. Well, I don't even understand why you have Kamara that high. That doesn't make any sense. But like,
yeah, for mine, yeah, I would draft OJ Howard before anybody else. I probably draft him. Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, like if I'm looking at this, like, okay, Deshaun Watson, Christian McCaffrey, I'm really down on. John Ross, that's kind of an Indianapolis pick to me. Kareem Hunt and Joe Mixon, obviously, but like it depends on what you're looking for. Like, are you looking for something for dynasty? Like, I think that where he went, he could be a dynasty quarterback.
Absolutely. We're just talking about
he's going to be drafted regardless in dynasty. But I mean, as far as rankings are concerned, like there's a lot of guys I'd like to take a chance on before drafting Deshaun Watson as a quarterback. And I know you didn't do your rankings as where you would draft them, but I think as a consensus, I'd rather take a shot on like a Donnell Pumphrey or something like that in one of the late rounds. Because I could probably get Deshaun
You'd
Watson
rather go
as a free agent.
I mean, depending on how you're. I mean, because like, how do you want to? How are we talking about this? Are we talking about this as like? I mean, because most things have a. If you're talking dynasty, most have a rookie draft, so there's no way that he gets through the rookie draft. Pumphrey could get through I mean, because Pumphrey has 3 people in front of him, technically. I mean, they basically drafted Pumphrey. Well, exactly. But, I mean, the reason why I put him up that high is because I am very down on these running backs. The wide receivers, I'm very gun-shy about because of last year. The tight ends, we all know tight ends take probably 2 or 3 years before they really start showing something. So as far as like who is going to get you some fantasy value in the next 2-3 years, I think that some of these quarterbacks will probably do better than some of these other players because I think that the running backs went to the wrong teams and wide receivers and tight ends take so long to develop.
I think a lot of these quarterbacks in this draft are Tyrod Taylor.
I mean, maybe they are, but the thing is that I think that I think that Watson, top number one quarterback overall, Tyrod Taylor. But of all the quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson is going into the best, and honestly, he's going into a better situation than most other quarterbacks in the league. Like, that's a dream job, right? You got Lamar Miller, and then you've got Fuller.
To Brock Osweiler, baby.
Okay, Brock Osweiler is a garbage fire and was always a garbage fire. I don't know. I could see a situation similar to Russell Wilson with Deshaun Watson where he's more of a leader, but he has way better weapons than what Wilson has. So I don't know. There's something kind of sexy about Deshaun Watson this year. I'm just saying.
I agree. And I think he went to that right team. He is going to be ranked as probably the top quarterback of this draft. He's probably going to get the most fantasy points this year, but people have been saying that this running back class is one of the elite ones in the last few years, and I think there's going to be a lot of those running backs that rise to the crop, and I think that's why people are going to be drafting these running backs so high. There's a few wide receivers out there too, so
that's fine. But my issue is if I am looking at Dalvin Cook to what I don't even know what they averaged, but when AP could only run 1.8 yards per carry in his game and a half, and I'm looking at somebody that I could kind of anchor with my quarterbacks. I mean, I'm probably still going Cook, but I'm definitely questioning it because I hate. I can't even stress it enough. Other than Fournette, hate where these running backs went, and jealous.
Jealous of what?
Because I wanted basically any of these guys to go to the Eagles. Any of them. Could we kind of God?
So we started to kind of talk about wide receivers a little bit. And Alex, I hate to keep leading up to you, but you have Mike Williams ranked ahead of Corey Davis. Why?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. There's something that
is it his situation?
Because the situation is good because we all know that Keenan Allen is going to sneeze and tear his ACL. So there's no competition. And I'm not saying that Corey Davis has a ton of things going on, but right now, as far as tight end, they have a really good tight end, and the Chargers is a little muddy at this point. We're kind of waiting to see what they're going to do. Because Henry looked really good in flashes, but I don't know. They're really wide receiver 1 and B, or 1 and B, A and B for me. They could go either way, but there's just something when I was going through this, I was just like, I have to give it to Mike Williams right now, right this second.
Mike Williams going to the Chargers, I don't know why. It kind of reminds me of Michael Thomas last year going to the Saints. That's kind of how I feel about it. You could be completely right. I ranked him 6th, 4 spots away from Corey Davis, but I think he could easily end up being the best wide receiver in this class.
Why did you rank him so low versus everybody else?
I like kind of Brent was saying, I have a hard time forgetting about how much hype the running back position got, and I feel like it can't all be for nothing. We were so high on these running backs for so long. I don't mind McCaffrey going to Carolina. I know you hate it, Alex. But
absolutely hate it.
I don't hate it. I think that it could be good. I think that he could be successful there. I think that he can score 10 touchdowns. I think that he can catch 600, 700 yards receiving and rush for 600 to 700 yards. I think that he could be a 1,400 total yard player and score 10 touchdowns. You're telling me that you wouldn't take that?
Oh, okay. that's fine, but there are so many questions. Like, how are they going to fit him in? Like, I just like, I don't know. Like the whole
That's just the
team
thing.
is just
They can
so
put him
centered.
anywhere.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter, though. I mean, like you could put Ted Ginn anywhere. I mean,
come on.
Listen, I'm just saying that team is so like 80% Cam and then a bunch of role players. How much of that, the rest of that offense, is going to be carved out for McCaffrey? And that's why I'm a little hesitant. If it came down to it, would I still go probably McCaffrey over Deshaun Watson? What we were just talking, probably. Would I go McCaffrey over, Corey Davis or Mike Williams? No, I wouldn't.
Sure. I really like McCaffrey, but I don't know. I don't know. Getting into it, it's going to be tough, and that's kind of why we do these rankings.
It's so muddy. Like, that's what I don't like. I don't like the fact that out of all those running backs, so many great running backs, we have one clear cut. Just one. Like this
Just amazing
like class. But that class wasn't amazing. That class wasn't put up like as like the like return of the great running backs, like, I mean, it has been so, I mean, I don't want to say shoved down our throats because we're kind of part of that shoving them down the throats. But, I mean, like just so many great players, and they went to all the wrong teams.
But that's the thing. So, like, nobody wants to draft a running back early anymore. Like in the actual NFL draft, nobody wants to spend those early picks. They want to get, their great defensive players or look at their needs. And people kind of put the running back position on a back burner. So like, even though we had all this talent in there, with those picks getting pushed back later, I think that's how they end up in these kind of situations now. It's just kind of something that we deal with.
Well, and see, that's one of the things, like one of the reasons, like with VC has in our league, he's got multiple picks in that first round. That's what I would want. That's why I like what I wanted last year too. But this year, even more so, because if you can hit on a couple of these guys, these are better running backs than last year. These are running backs that you could, if you could get two of them to hit, they can be your running back 1 and 2. But I have a feeling that there are going to be some of these guys that are going to take a lot longer to get there.
Sure. So, Josh, you have the number 1 and the number 3 pick. Is that right?
No, I have the number 1, 5.
Number 1 and 5.
And 7.
Who has 3?
Brent does.
Brent.
So Brent has 2 and 3?
Yes.
And 8.
Interesting. So I don't think there's any way that you don't draft Fournette first. Like, and I think pending like injury or something crazy happen, I just don't see how anybody could not draft Fournette first.
I will say that because of where they landed, I have zero interest in getting back in the first round.
Yeah.
I have there's nothing that I have to have that's going to get me back into the first round.
What's your first pick?
Like these running backs though, like the teams they went to, the current starters there aren't anything special.
Right.
Like, even Dalvin Cook going to Minnesota. Latavius Murray,
they're just terrible.
You know what I mean?
They just have I'm not even talking about.
I think the teams that actually I don't like the team schemes a whole lot, but I think there's opportunity for these rookie running backs to succeed in a number 1 running back capacity.
Sure.
Like even Washington, there was Tampa Bay got Jeremy McNichols. I mean, all he's got to do is beat out Doug Martin and Jaquiz Rogers. Like, get sleeper guys that could fall into those 2nd, 3rd rounds even of dynasty drafts. Well, and see, you can really take advantage of.
And see, I would rather get those guys and miss on those guys than, like, for me to trade up. Like, let's say, okay, Brent, just spitballing because I'm not going to go after this pick. What would you need to get the number 2 pick? Just give it, like, throw something out, like Murray. Would you need something like that?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, that's
okay.
I would want a quality, like top 5 to 7 running back fantasy wise.
And see that, right? I mean, I would absolutely never do that. But
Right.
but the thing is that, okay, so I send you DeMarco Murray, who is a proven commodity. And let's say, I mean, if we're going off of, from running backs, I would be going Christian McCaffrey. And I'm not sold on that. Then I jump down Kareem Hunt. Definitely not sold on that. Joe Mixon, that I could kind of sell to myself a little bit, but I also have a lot of reservations about, and that's why I dropped him down. And then Dalvin Cook, I'm just really down on. So, I mean,
I feel like your reservations will start to ease out a little bit closer to draft time in August.
Not to get me to drop like somebody like DeMarco Murray to go up and get somebody.
I'm just saying your reservations will ease out. They're gonna come back more to the surface a little more. I don't think you're gonna be like sinking so much on a lot of these players. I think you're gonna see a lot of things.
You think it's gonna shake out a little bit, like maybe somebody like I don't know. Hunt is like the number 2, so there's nothing in front of him other than Ware or
right, yeah, and
okay.
Who knows with Doug Martin? He's got a suspension right now, or
yeah,
there could be injuries during the offseason. But I think these running backs are so talented this year that you are going to see it in training camp, and you're going to see it in the depth charts come draft time.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I wanted to talk about Kamara for a second, but go ahead and finish what you were saying.
I was going to say I saw one mock draft today that it kind of blew my mind a little bit, but I saw Latavius Murray go in the 11th round.
Really?
Dalvin Cook, they're already assuming is the starter, which I could see, but
I could see
Latavius Murray as an 11th rounder, I was like blown away by it.
Okay, so number 24, I've got Kamara. Van Cleve, you have him at 8. Like, why? He's got 3 guys. I mean, I understand like you got one guy that's old, and then the other guy that they obviously hate. But I don't know, and it's New Orleans. Like there's 3 strikes right there.
Well, why would they trade up in the 2nd round to get this running back?
Because he's good.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't think it's a skill issue. It's a team issue for me. Like his situation really sucks.
But see, Ingram was fantasy relevant, was he not?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. So obviously they brought in AP. They just drafted a new running back, so they have no faith in Ingram right now.
Yeah.
AP's got maybe a year, maybe 2. You have Kamara who will learn from AP. Who will kind of maybe even get groomed and stuff. I just don't see them trading up, spending a 2nd round on this guy, and not wanting to use him for the future. Like they've been using him as the Mark Ingram going forward. Like when this year may be a little muddy, but I think next year's going to be a lot clearer because I think he's going to rise to the top because he is good. And I think that they're going to be like, all right, we know what we have in this guy. CAP, Ingram, cut him, and then they'll maybe bring us, or maybe they keep AP for a rester and they get rid of Ingram.
I think Van Cleve is onto something a little bit. They signed AP to a 2-year contract, but they can opt out after the 1st year. So really, Kamara is more of a 2nd-year kind of player. That's where you're going to be drafting him. He's got some initial value right now in the pass-catching game, maybe the return game a little bit. But I'm going to start the rumor right now. I think Mark Ingram gets traded to the Patriots.
Why?
For Malcolm Butler.
Oh, I was going to say, why Patriots?
That's gross. Why would they want another running back?
Because it's the Patriots.
Oh. That would be the worst. Great for Kamara's value, but I just
that the Saints want to get back to running. When they won their Super Bowl, they were rushing for over 400 attempts.
Okay,
so they want to run the ball. They want to get back to that.
That was 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago.
I understand that, but they're wanting to get back to that. Do you understand?
But when
Ingram had his best rushing year last year, they're wanting to get back to rushing, and they want to get more back to a more balanced offense. They don't want Drew Brees just throwing everywhere. They know he can, but they're not going to win like that. They know they don't have a safety net with their defense.
See, but that's not true. When Ingram was on fire and running all over the place, they lost. They only have been winning on the arm of Breeze. Now, that could be that just poor planning, and honestly, I'm kind of starting to think that maybe they need to do some sort of coaching change at this point because they, like being 7-9 3 seasons in a row, like they're a little stagnant. So, I mean, I don't know. I get it. I understand. I'm not in love with any running back that plays for New Orleans, regardless. And the fact that he's the third guy on a team that really doesn't know how to run the ball, I don't know. We'll see. I'm just super down on the running backs. I was just so depressed.
I'm curious, Brent, if Mark Ingram was to somehow get pushed out of New Orleans, whether it's trade or cut, how far up, just say he wasn't in the situation, how far up would you move Kamara?
In the current ranks that we have right now?
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably move him up into the top. Not much more, but probably 5 or 6.
Sure. So
he'd be right there around some of the top wide receivers, probably.
Okay. I like that. You have P. Ryan at number 7.
Yeah.
Which I really like. And I think probably he's somebody that I will be moving up my rankings. Why do you have him above O.J. Howard, John Ross?
Once again, just based on opportunity. They moved up in the draft to grab this guy too. And everything I've heard about him is he's just this big physical guy that has the balance of Marshawn Lynch. He's basically beast mode 2.0 is what everyone's been saying.
Yeah, that's what
and that just excites me for some reason. That guy in Washington in that passing offense with their improved defense, maybe they're going to run the ball a little more. I love the concept of P. Ryan rushing in that offense. Lots of opportunities for touchdowns. I mean,
I like that you have him up there at number 7. I like that a lot, actually. Alex, what was our bet? Didn't we make one?
That Dalvin Cook, or you said that P. Ryan would be a better fantasy producer than Dalvin Cook.
That's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I could see that one going either way. I liked it. I liked it just because you said that, and I was like, I don't feel like one way or the other to a huge degree. So I was like,
sure.
That's a fun one. Let's throw that one in there.
I could see myself taking either side of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's almost a clear lane for Dalvin Cook. I mean, I know Latavius Murray's there, but
the only negative things that were really being said about P. Ryan was his production kept dipping each of the seasons he was in college. But that was when Joe Mixon was actually coming on those last 2 years. So clearly his production was going to go down if you're giving Joe Mixon the ball more.
Right.
So I think he's just that sleeper waiting to happen. He might fall down a little bit in drafts, and I think he's going to be a good value.
Which side of that bet would you take?
It's tough because right now you don't know about Dalvin in Minnesota. Is he going to be the starter? I mean, right now I would lean more towards P. Ryan, but I still like Dalvin quite a bit.
I think Dalvin's going to surprise people this year. And I'm going to take the other side of my bet because I really think that Dalvin could be it. The more I see it and the more I think about it.
Is it really a surprise, though, if he were to do well?
No. Who, Dalvin Cook?
Yeah.
A little bit. Because, there's been so much crap that's gotten talked about him, not being, NFL ready or not being, mentally prepared, which, we've kind of been talking about that. That's a big deal. And he's had a lot of those kind of mental issues associated with him. So, and going to a team that has a horrible offensive line, granted they've improved it. Last year was god awful.
Yeah, so bad.
It's not ideal, but if you watch his tape, Dalvin Cook is fun to watch.
Yeah,
he's like a Jamal Charles. He could take it to the house on any play.
Mm-hmm. I really like him. Van Cleef, who is your favorite tight end in the draft? You got him ranked kind of low.
Yeah. Oh, give me a sec here. Get me to pull up the rankings.
You have, I was gonna say you have Njoku ranked 14th and Howard ranked 15th.
I like Njoku's talent wise. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunity. He's got really no competition, to be honest with you. And I think, especially for a rookie quarterback or even a young quarterback, their first thing is to go to a tight end or drop it off to a tight end, and he's going to be across the middle. He's not really a pass blocker, but he is going to be that guy who can run across the middle. But O.J. Howard's going to have a lot of talent. Going to that Tampa Bay offense, really exciting. I wanted to know what it's going to do for Cameron Brate. I don't know if they're going to go two tight end set, or if it's going to be all O.J. Howard. But I mean, they've got a lot of offensive weapons now. That's just crazy to me. It's almost going to be like who's going to get the ball. But that's why I have Njoku ranked ahead of O.J. because I know that he's going to get more playing time and more opportunity to get his.
Well, see, now that's a question I was going to actually ask you, Van Cleve. Like, as a Brate owner, is this like one of those things where you're like, well, should I keep Brate? Because now we're talking about so many mouths to feed in Tampa Bay. There's a lot of people that are going to be trying to get the ball. Now, Howard, it could be a situation where, it takes him a couple of years to really catch on. Brate was kind of an out of nowhere guy. I'm honestly a little shocked that they went Howard because Brate did so well. I mean, he did so well. And what do you think?
I can add a little more to that. Like Brate, he did really well in the passing game, but believe it or not, Tampa Bay ran more 2 tight end sets than anybody in the league last year.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
So picking O.J. Howard, the top tight end of the draft, potentially, a guy who is great at blocking, a guy who's great at pass catching, I still think that puts him up above Njoku, who really we don't even know who's going to be throwing them the ball yet, it seems.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, Brent, but just to go back to your point, there are so many mouths to feed. So we say there's so many mouths to feed, but Mike Evans is probably one of the highest guy who gets the targets in all of the league, especially with wide receivers. So I still think Mike Evans is going to get his. He's still going to get that many targets. I think adding D-Jack to the offense is going to help Mike Evans because he's going to stretch the field. So that could in turn help the tight ends a little bit with the middle of the field. But just like you're saying, he's great at pass blocking. So they're going to run the 2 tight end set. So I just think he's going to be more blocking and coming more balanced, where Njoku is going to get more. He's going to be more fantasy relevant because he's going to be that guy, that pass catcher.
Yeah, but I also feel like Cleveland might have the more terrible offense, so they can't sustain drives. Tampa Bay is going to move down the field on almost every drive. More opportunities for touchdowns, too.
What do you guys think about that Chris Godwin pick by Tampa Bay? Like, I was shocked that they went after a wide receiver that high. Like, I mean,
he was probably the best available at the time, and if they really wanted to get a wide receiver, I like.
Was this you and me, Brent? Did we have this conversation already? Kind of. I was really, really disappointed because I really like Chris Godwin. Yeah, and I did not want to see him go to Tampa Bay
because of how many miles there are.
Well, yeah, but see, like Vincent Jackson's going to be back. I think he's going to be back for one more year.
Yeah. Who cares about Vincent Jackson?
No that's what I'm saying, though. It's because Godwin's going to come in. He may play a slot or something like that. But then I think how long is DJ going to be there? Tampa Bay needs a good number 2. He may rise up and be that good number 2 to where it would help balance Mike Evans out. So I think he's going to get. I don't think he was ever a number 1 wide receiver. I think he's always going to be a good number 2.
Who?
Godwin.
Well, I mean, they could put he's 6'1", 209, so I mean, he could take some hits, and I mean, so he could actually be a really good slot receiver. Get like 60 to 70 catches. Put up 800 yards, and I don't think that's out of the question in that offense. I know that's asking a lot for a rookie wide receiver, but I mean, I think it's possible.
Even in Tampa Bay, that Adam Humphrey guy, he did pretty decent for fantasy in some weeks. So Chris Godwin, I think, is a better version of him.
Yeah.
And all of this being said, all these rookie draft picks that are coming in only adds to Jameis Winston's draft stock, I think. He's going to be fantastic this year.
Absolutely.
But what worries me is everything is going in his direction.
Yep.
Like,
It is.
he's
He's going to be drafted high.
Call me a pessimist, but like when this many things are going right,
Yep.
like
Yep.
he's gonna climb draft boards, and then it's just setting it up for disappointment. And it really
Yep.
makes me sad because I've already preached that I think that he can be a top 3 quarterback this year, and I want it to happen. But the more things like this that get that arrow ticking in that favor makes me more and more nervous.
Hey, Romine, that same mock draft I was talking about earlier, Jameis Winston went right after Cam Newton in like the 10th round.
That's great value.
Right?
Yep, that's perfect. Like, but that's where both of those guys should be drafted. And I feel like you should be drafting Jameis Winston right around the Cam Newton-ish. Like, I'm assuming that's like a 12th quarterback coming off the board, probably 12th to 14th.
Probably, yeah.
Wait, Cam Newton is out of the top 10 as far as drafting?
Yeah.
Really?
After
Just
last
like
year.
everything I hear, like he's gonna fall way too far. Like,
Well, and he just had a surgery too.
yeah, but like people forget where he was a year before last. Like, he's gonna get way underdrafted. Like, he's probably somebody that I'll be targeting a little bit in drafts coming up. So,
Well, I know. I'm just saying he has surgery, so I think that's maybe another reason why his draft is falling. But yeah, I would agree with you, Roman. If he's going to fall that far, I would be somebody to target. I would too. I would want to target as well.
would you draft Jameis Winston over Cam Newton?
Yes.
I would. Yeah,
But see,
I
was in favor of him last year. I called him MVP last year. But see, that's just I like Winston a lot better. I love the talent around Winston.
So
than I do Cam Newton.
I thought Winston was going to bust so hard in the NFL. Like, I thought he was going to be terrible. Like, he's another guy though that I didn't think he had his head on straight.
Exactly, and that's the swing of it. Like, you've got guys that can overcome and kind of move forward, and you got Jameis Winston. Like, nobody talks about that stuff anymore. Nobody's talking about like all the things that like were going on, the stupid crap that he was doing in college. There are other players that can't get away from that.
Yeah, Jameis has done some dumb stuff, but he's the perfect example of somebody that has overcome it.
Yeah.
Kind of get back. I got a question because I was kind of wanting to know for a while when we got the receivers. I feel there's only 2 receivers that are actually that are number 1 receivers, but there are a lot of good number 2 receivers in this draft. Who in this draft, besides I think Corey Davis or Mike Williams, you could say maybe John Ross, but obviously John Ross is going to a situation where he's going to be the number 2. Do you feel any other wide receivers fell into a good situation?
Can I give you kind of a sleeper?
Who?
Kenny Golladay from a wide receiver, Detroit. He's 6'4". He's kind of got that a little bit like that frame of Calvin Johnson. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be Calvin Johnson, but he's kind of the guy that I'm kind of looking at because they didn't have a consistent wide receiver, so maybe this guy can come in. I don't know. I just have this weird feeling about him.
Sure, I've heard people talk about Golladay too. I like that. Brent, who you got? Give us a guy.
Either of the new Rams wide receivers. I like Josh Reynolds and Cooper Kupp.
I'm not touching him.
Josh Reynolds was going to be my guy.
I can't do it.
Both of those guys are better than any of the wide receivers they drafted last year.
Yep.
I'm sure. I mean, anything. I mean, honestly, I think you could accidentally do it, but oh gosh, I am avoiding the Rams other than like of good value of Gurley. I'm avoiding them like the plague. I don't want anything to do with them.
What do you guys think about Zay Jones going to Buffalo?
Meh.
I'm sure Alex hates it.
Meh. I mean, it doesn't move the needle for me.
Zay's a guy that had like a ton of hype going into the draft. I like it a lot. Putting him opposite Sammy Watkins. I love Tyrod Taylor. I love him. I do. I want him to succeed so bad.
So ridiculous. He's not that good.
I know. He's not that good. He is. He's really not that good. He's very athletic, and like I just like him. Like I do. He's got great legs. He has a decent arm. I could see Zay Jones being somebody that could be successful. He's way better than Robert Woods.
Well,
I feel like they're the same player.
Robert Woods and Zay Jones?
Yeah, Robert Woods went to L.A. and I feel like they just got Zay Jones to replace him, and really, it's not a big difference. But
I mean, it might not. I mean, they're a similar style player, but the problem is that Robert Woods was only good with EJ Manuel for whatever reason.
And he's from USC.
Oh, so like Zay Jones is like when you wake up Christmas morning and you're opening your presents. You have Battleship like sitting in your closet. It's a great game. It's very fun. But you're unwrapping your presents and you get this brand new game, and it may be just like Battleship, but it's new and you want to play it. So that game becomes your favorite game. You know what I mean? Like
I get where you're coming from.
Is it like the remastered editions of some video games?
It's like the 25th edition. Like it's got cooler ships. Like it lights up like when you explode. It's way cooler. It's basically the same thing, but you're gonna play it way more.
It's the same kind of situation when you're looking at a team like the Giants. The Giants are a perfect example. You had this garbage pile of running backs, and so you're like, well, and as soon as they draft somebody, you went after that. And there's a lot of teams that were like that, where it doesn't matter if they were drafted. The Raiders were another one. If you didn't love Latavius Murray, you were looking out and waiting for those other guys to see if they could come out and do something. It's that love of the unknown. And I think that's why, even though there may be a similar type of player, you're looking at Zay Jones like, well, maybe this is that guy that can complement Watkins.
Sure. And that's why the draft's fun, though. Like, that's why all of this is fun. But on that note, we need to go ahead and wrap this up because we're going to have to talk about this more next week. There's no doubt we haven't really touched a lot of the bottom half of our boards. And as this offseason progresses, that's going to change. It's going to move slightly. There's going to be players that come up that we didn't really expect. So we will continue this talk next week. Thanks everybody for listening. Hop on the old Twitter machine, 4 Horsemen Pod. Get on, send us an email. We're on there, 4horsemenpod@gmail.com. Lastly, domestic violence is a problem. It's bad. So like all these guys that we talk about, they're doing all this terrible stuff. That kind of stuff's got to end because it's getting worse. Every year are more and more players that are having these issues. So raise your kids better. Like that's do something
your
different.
PSA.
As parents, like do something about it because it's getting out of hand, and it makes it hard for us to talk about this because like I always feel bad talking about these guys as just football players. You know what I mean? Like,
I know. Yeah, so, I totally understand that. Yeah,
I don't want to get off a tangent, but I just want to say that. So follow us on Twitter, hit us up on Gmail, let us know how you feel about it. We will talk to you guys next week. Peace.
See ya.